Welcome back to the BDGE Dynasty Fantasy Football Channel. As always, I am joined by Adam and Andrew, and we are playing your favorite game of buy, sell, hold, where we each nominate two players a piece, and the other two will tell you whether or not they are buying, whether they are selling, or they are holding based on their current price in the Dynasty community. And you know what? I'm going to start off. I wasn't going to go this direction, but I don't think we've really actually had a conversation too much about him. And I also just pulled off a trade in Fade the Fetal for this man's. And I am talking about no other than the two-time MVP, Lamar Jackson. This is actually the second Dynasty League that I've traded for him over the last few calendar months. So let me give you the trade that I made for Lamar Jackson. Actually, I'll let you guys decide whether or not you're going buy, sell, hold on Lamar first.
I already got it.
According to Keep Trade Cut, he's the 7th overall player. He is the quarterback 4 right now. You have Josh Allen, Mahomes, and C.J. Stroud, 1, 2, and 4. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase are above him. And then Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts right below.
Hold on.
Oh,
See,
man.
This is why context is good.
Oh, no. We got a flippity-floppity.
Sell his ass.
Buy.
Ooh, we got a buy and a sell.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, my friend. Sell me on it.
I don't have him as my QB4. QB4 is Rich. I didn't hear Jalen Hurts. I didn't hear Jalen Hurts.
The pick behind him.
Yeah, so I would have a Jalen Hurts over him.
Agreed.
I would probably lean Joe Burrow over him. List might end right around there, but a couple quarterbacks behind him, especially in the first round, like a couple picks could be a big
Why do
difference.
you feel like that's Rich? He's 27 and he's won 2 MVPs so far.
I don't think it's Rich. I mean, he should be properly – like, he's a first-round pick. I'm not saying he's not a first-round pick. I prefer Hurts and I prefer Burrow, I think, over him.
What is it about Burrow that you prefer, or why? I guess I'm just curious on that one.
I think part of it, and maybe part of it is the bias that I play in a lot of 6-point passing touchdown leagues, and that probably is leaking into my analysis here. But
Sure.
I think in a 4-point – there's an argument toss-up between the two, but I think in the 6-point passing touchdown that I play in, I just prefer Joe Burrow. I think he's going to throw more touchdowns than Lamar.
I get you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have him – I would say this. I have him as my quarterback 4. I'm with you. It would put Hurts at 3, him at 4. I have him over C.J. Stroud. But I feel like the reason I say buy is while he's quarterback 4, I feel like there's not that many people that value him where I do, which is I would take him as the 4th player off the board in Dynasty startups.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I don't value him that highly.
I know, which is why I'm going to be buying him, and what I want is that Nicholas price.
Yeah, so the trade
That's why I'm going to buy
trade
him.
I just made, which I just woke up to, that was in my inbox. I have a lot of skill players in this league, and I was trying to package them to move up for a really good quarterback. So I woke up to a trade offer of Drake London, Christian Watson, and Bryce Young for Lamar Jackson.
How was that morning sex?
Yeah, no, that was it right there. That got me off immediately.
Wild.
So I didn't have to think more than 3 seconds about that one, because Drake London had been like the premier piece I was looking to move off of to get a good quarterback, and then having to tear down or having to tear up, getting to tear up from Bryce Young to Lamar Jackson is an obvious no-brainer. I felt like I gave up one very good piece, one good piece, and one pretty good piece, but I didn't give up anything that was like an excellent A-tier blue chip piece for one that is clearly that.
What do you think on that?
So like
trade?
the fact, and I also think the other thing I would say is like the price I got Lamar in the other league was, I think it was Kyler and Evan Ingram for Lamar straight up. And to me, I was like, okay, if these are the prices I'm able to get Lamar for, like that's an easy buy for me.
Fair.
I think people hear the name Lamar and rank him somewhere, and then like when you actually have to make the moves, they don't value him as high.
I'm actually where, yes, Ingram and Kyler, I probably lean Lamar, but I have no issue tearing down from Lamar to a Kyler Murray, and I have no issue tearing down from a Lamar to a Joe Burrow, or just things like that. Like, I probably am more likely, if I have Lamar on my rosters, to tear him down and get a bonus piece thrown in and go to a different quarterback.
I think Kyler brings a lot more risk than Lamar does. As fun as his upside is, he hasn't really pieced together a full year in years.
I agree. I'm also a Kyler stan, so
yeah.
it is what it is. But I also just noticed something. I was looking on Keep Trade Cut, and this has nothing to do with our conversation, but did you see Anthony Richardson jumped Joe Burrow in their rankings now? A-Rich is QB.
People have been listening.
He's QB6, man. Right there behind Hurts. That feels rich.
Hey, Rich, it does, yeah. That's not surprising, though, like just the way the Dynasty community works. You squeeze out any bit of upside that could possibly be priced into a player, and that's where their ADP goes.
Yeah.
Does he jump Jalen Hurts before the season? No? He's capped here.
For now.
Totally different conversation than we're supposed to be having, but it's fine. Well, you asked what I thought of the trade. I like the trade. I think it's a good price to pay. Even though I like Bryce Young, I like Drake London. I'd pay that to go up.
Yeah, I was just curious if I know you like Bryce, but I figured you would like the trade. That was a really good deal for you. Well, let me ask you this: Christian Watson was a player that was more relevant on your roster. Let's call it. I'm trying to think who you got, like Rashad White.
That would have been like, okay, this is a fair deal that I have to like
think about.
That I have to like place my bet on Lamar Jackson. We're not like I didn't have to do that for the other one, but this felt more like I'm getting a lot more leeway.
Yeah.
But I feel good about it as opposed to I felt like I won this trade. Whereas if you swap Watson out for even if you moved him up to like Jaden Reed or Tank Dell, then I'm like really having to sit down and say like, do I want to push my chips in on Lamar? Where this one it felt like a lot easier. You know, Christian Watson coming off of his rookie year, different conversation. But like right now where he's at, I feel like he's a little bit more of a wild card in here. Drake London's still yet to prove it. People very high on him, so I figure I kind of want to sell London at this price right now for the Lamar. And to me, I'm the same way with you. Or Lamar to me is a top 5 dynasty asset, and those guys are just hard to get into. So it's
I feel like there's 2 things I wanted to say on Lamar at least. One is that I feel like his style of play is in the back of people's minds, whether they want to admit it or not. Like they think that his shelf life is not as long as a lot of other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is I don't think that people are, at least the way I'm viewing it, let me just say that. I don't want to speak for other people. The way I'm viewing it is Lamar last year with the contract put to bed for me a lot of the end of the year he's not playing bullshit that was going on the last 2 years.
Yeah, and that's why I asked him before, like, why is that too rich? Because if Lamar Jackson's like style of play wasn't lingering in your mind, and you had a 27-year-old QB, how old is Joe Burrow? 26?
26.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Joe Burrow had 2 MVPs by next year, he would be like the 101 in dynasty startups. But Lamar's looked at differently because we feel like his style of play is a little bit more risky or volatile.
Dude, want to know something crazy?
Yes.
Lamar went at the 112 in my most recent dynasty startup.
That's why I'm buying his ass.
The 112.
The other thing too, just context.
Yeah, but that's not that. I'm definitely buying Lamar at that 112 price, but that's not where he is on keep trade cut.
It's not where he's on keep trade cut, but like really, if you're looking at the value of how I've got him in trades, I think it is closer to 112 than it is 105.
So in that aspect, then I would not be a sell if you're talking about where he's in the startup and where you're buying him at those costs. You're buying Lamar. But where you have him on keep trade cut, I just have quarterbacks behind him, specifically Jalen Hurts, that I feel a lot more confident in than a guy like Lamar.
I would take Lamar over Hurts.
Wasn't he 107, you said, on or the 7th player on keep trade cut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not falling past the 106 for me, so I guess that's probably why I said bye. Let us know what you think of Lamar Jackson.
There were 7 quarterbacks drafted before him.
Big trust.
Let's talk a little bit about another quarterback, but this one is not a first-round pick. We're going to talk Geno Smith, quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. Last year averaged 15.7 fantasy points per game. That was 20th in the NFL. You look at the value adjacent QBs to him right now. He's currently ranked as the QB 30. The 3 above him are Matthew Stafford, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones. The 3 below him, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr. So moving forward in this new Ryan Grubb offense, buying, selling, holding, Geno Smith. I almost called him I almost went Juju Smith-Schuster with Geno Smith.
That would have been.
That's crazy.
That would have been crazy. I hate putting hold, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, me too.
I can't say sell because what are you going to get?
I'd rather just
Daniel Jones.
Right. Like that's to that point. Now, I'm not quite to the point where I want to necessarily buy. I'll just say he's been good enough at points if he with higher passing volume with all these weapons, like he might give you 2 years of starter ability. And that's where like I can understand buying. I'm probably not quite there, but it's close.
I would say it's not like he has crazy upside. He could be a starting quarterback for you for sure in Superflex. If he has a good year, he won't get a Jared Goff type extension, but maybe he gets like in the Baker Mayfield range, right? Like he'd have to play. He would have to play well this year, and then the upside of having a guy who might be a starting quarterback for the next like 2-3 years is just so much higher than just getting rid of him for something shitty. Like in Fetal, before I traded for Lamar, like I needed a quarterback. I was able to flip the 208 for him, which I thought was like an egregious price to receive for Geno Smith, given that you're going to get at least a year out of him probably. But I just think like the starting quarterback price is just it's not enough baked in there.
What do you guys make of? Do you put any weight into it of the Sam Howell trade this offseason?
I think it was a smart football move. I don't think they're going to like have a camp battle by any means, but I feel like it's if they're nervous about Geno, if Geno goes down, they have a competent quarterback with NFL experience that could, given the amount of weapons around him, like he can run that offense.
You don't feel like bringing him in, new coaching staff, new front office, it puts any type of shorter leash on a guy like Geno?
I mean, a little bit. I think the short leash, though, was just baked in for me to the fact that this regime doesn't have true ties to him right now.
To anybody.
Yeah. Sam Howell's definitely like, I think that's probably, to be honest, that's part of the reason why I don't want to buy. It's not like you can tell me that he's for sure going to be the starter for the next 2 years. But if he came out of the gates and they're passing the ball a lot in this new offense, I don't think he gets back to quarterback 5 like he was 2 years ago. But I could see him being like a top 15 option. Top 20 for sure.
Yeah.
You guys are holding him in comparison to the QBs, but if I told you like he's in that range with Jerry Jeudy, James Conner, Khalil Shakir, Chase Brown, are you buying him to those players?
I would trade those guys pretty much universally 1-for-1 for Geno. James Conner might be the only one if my roster construction I didn't have like very many running backs. That's the only problem for me. Like I don't typically have a lot of running backs, so that one I might be a little bit iffy on.
Some of those names are tough. Like I would give up Shakir for him. I would give up Jeudy for him. Chase Brown would probably be maybe where I start thinking about it, but ultimately I'll usually lean just Geno for the quarterback situation.
Cool.
Yep. Let's talk about the tight end 21.
No.
Fan, god damn it.
No, they hate him a lot more than that. Now, this tight end is 21. He's a rook. The name is Jatavian Sanders.
I thought we were going to talk about my guy Ben.
Tight end 21 sounds fucking rich.
Yeah, you want to talk about rich. Tight end 21, he's going around a late 24 second. Roman Wilson, Jahan Dotson, Tucker Kraft, Chase Brown are the players behind
tight ends, like the 3 in front, 3 behind.
Tight ends are ahead Goddard, Mayer, Jatavian Sanders, and then Tucker Kraft, Chig, and Cade Otton.
That's disgusting.
You know what to do, but I don't know that you will.
Whatever.
Fight me. Okay.
Hold so.
Why are you holding? Or what makes you want to hold it with Jatavian?
I think the reason why I would hold him is at that point, clearly the tight ends above him, the Goddards and such, like I definitely prefer them to Jatavian Sanders.
How far away were those guys in picks? That must have been like a pretty sizable gap, no? Between Goddard and Sanders?
But the guys behind him, like Chig and those
I would take
guys,
Chig over him.
I would too.
That's what makes me like kind of hesitate.
I would take Cade Otton over him.
It's a conversation.
Me too,
I think Otton is interesting, but it's a conversation. But at this point, like with a tight end, when we're playing in the mud, I'll take the upside on a guy like JT Sanders, who I did kind of like coming into this class. I did think he had some athleticism to him, which we do like to see. He's big.
Well, I feel like all those guys do.
He's in an offense that doesn't really have a ton outside of like established players outside of Deontay Johnson. I'm willing to hold him there. I think more so really is just I don't feel strongly either way about selling or buying, so I guess he's appropriately valued here.
Yeah, I feel like this is just like rookie hype is moving him up the chain. Because if you had told me he was tight end like 35, wouldn't have batted an eye whatsoever. In fact, he's all the way up at 21 because you keep scrolling down and it's like there are some rookies mixed in, but there's your boy Noah Fant down there at like tight end 28. I'm sure there's some guys behind him that I'm like, okay, I'd probably rather. Greg Dulcich was 25, I think. And I'm like, there's nothing about Sanders' like situation other than like people kind of liked him as a prospect coming out. That's not enough for me to go like top 20 as a fucking tight end. So Chiggy, I feel like we've seen enough kind of cool plays out of him that I would like to see him develop a little bit. I think he was raw coming out of college, coming out of like Coastal Carolina. So a good rookie year, but I also think that's it. You like that shit? Yeah. That's
Did he actually come out of Coastal Carolina?
Chanticleers, yeah.
I thought did Isaiah Likely come out of there too?
Oh no. Wait a minute.
I think Isaiah Likely came out of Coastal Carolina.
Well, what if Andrew Goddard?
Wait, I was thinking of Chig. Did Chig come out of like
No, you're right.
Tennessee or
you're
something?
Right. It's
Southern fucking
Isaiah Likely is 100%.
Yeah, you're right.
And
they both made the same.
If I'm gonna double down,
they both
it's
made like
a red
the same
school
plays.
For Okonkwo. I want to say it was
I know
Louisville.
it is. No, kind of close though.
Let me think. What was said again?
He said Louisville.
I thought it was Louisville.
Not Louisville.
No.
It's a red school though.
It was a good pull. You're right, because someone I know went to the school and was a big fan. I actually talked to him about Chig coming out.
Okay. Dude, I'm the GOAT right now.
No, you're the GOAT. Yeah.
I don't know.
And you look even better sitting next to the WOAT. So
fair. I also don't have a good poll on him.
Go Dayton.
Where he went. Dub.
No, it's a university.
Do you know the Dayton tight end?
Adam Troutman.
There you go.
Oh.
Back to being the GOAT.
What'd you say?
Adam Troutman.
No, the school that he went to.
It's like a bigger school. It's not like a small school like Dayton or anything like that. Should we just stop this?
Is it actually red?
Let's stop the game.
It's red. It's red, yellow, and black.
I can't think of it.
On the East Coast.
I think Maryland.
This is tough because I'm a West Coast kid.
He's a terp. He's a terp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I wouldn't have got that.
Chiggy and Likely were making the same plays. It felt like in college, where it was just like give them the ball in space and they'll run fucking 60 yards just because that's the type of player they are. So, anyways, long story short, Jatavian Sanders just feels way too high for me.
Sanders.
Yeah, he's honestly like I'm shocked to see him that high.
These day 3 picks that are athletic, day 3 athletic tight ends are literally a dime a dozen. Every year there's fucking 10 of them.
Yeah, I would be selling, but that's just me.
Alrighty, is it my turn again?
It can be.
Doesn't matter.
Or is it your turn, or whose turn is it?
Don't matter, motherfucker.
Just
I got a second guy here, and let's talk.
Okay.
Actually,
is he a
you guys want to go a mid-tier player or a low-end player? Do you want to talk?
You got one chance here.
You want to get in the weeds or no?
Let's get in the weeds.
Stay being the GOAT.
All right, I'm definitely going GOAT territory right here.
Dub.
Wan'dale Robinson for the New York Giants. 8.9 fantasy points per game last year, 54th in the NFL. You look at where he's going in compared to the wide receivers right now. Wide receivers above him, Gabe Davis, Jalen McMillan, Tyler Lockett. Wide receivers below him, Rashad Bateman, Jalen Hyatt, Mike Williams. The value, I'm glad you put that. The value adjacent overall players, you got like Aiden O'Connell's an early third, Sam Darnold, J.K. Dobbins. These are the guys. So we buying or selling?
I would take Darnold over him. But yeah, Wan'dale, I'm buying Wan'dale there. It's kind of been one of the themes of the offseason for me, I feel like. It's kind of just like throwing some chips around in the Giants offense. The same point I brought up with the Patriots offense last video, where it's like, I don't expect the Giants offense to be good this year, so not in the same way like let's leave room for them to be good, but within the next 2 years, I think they could get a passing game together that actually resembles like a working offense. And Wan'dale last year was coming right off the ACL tear, and still produced relatively well in PPR leagues. He was a fun prospect coming out of
what is that?
Ooh.
What does that say?
Just a straight sell for fucking nothing.
I'm not going to interrupt. I'm just letting people know.
Yeah, Wan'dale was a cool prospect coming out of Kentucky. I still think he's much more of like a line of scrimmage player than like a downfield playmaker. But being a slot-only wide receiver, I don't see a reason why he can't be like what Sterling Shepard was there for a while. And, he's not going to have the upside of a wide receiver 1, top 15, probably even like top 20 guy. But he's a good backup guy that you can get in for bye weeks, I think, and give you 10 to 12 PPR points per game in a good year. So Wan'dale's actually on my short list of like sleepers for redraft this year.
I actually just made a short about Wan'dale. I sent it to you guys and you never responded because you guys fucking hate me. But just a couple stats that I found that kind of made Wan'dale intriguing to me as like a dart throw on my rosters.
You know what? I did see this. Yeah. You're gonna say target separation and
average cushion.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually saw this.
I would be a little bit weary about the cushion.
The cushion part, yeah,
is the reason why, because target separation is like how far is the defender away when the target gets to him, and if you have a ton of cushion, if you're a slot wide receiver, your average separation is going to be really high. It's not because you separated well; it's because they play really far off you.
Right, makes sense.
Dumb
and
bitch.
Then also, the slot snaps. You got him 11th in the NFL. So you bring it up like he's a slot only wide receiver for the most part. Pretty much is going to be with Malik Neighbors, and people are going to say Malik Neighbors is going to play in the slot. I think he's going to play outside a lot for them.
For sure.
So just with that, and then you also look at like Jalen Hyatt, which wasn't a part of the short, but part of the overall video that I made. He was number 1 in average target distance last year, so he is strictly like a deep threat for this offense, meaning that Wan'dale Robinson should be the security blanket.
Yeah.
Anyways, you selling?
No, yeah, I'm selling. It's not really anything this is just a type of receiver that realistically for me I would rather not roster. I feel like if I can get value out of them in a trade, I would rather try to put that type of a piece elsewhere. Where I think with Wan'dale, he's going to be a guy that probably gets a decent amount of target volume. And I just don't know that it's one in an offense that is going to make that extremely fantasy relevant, first of all. Second of all, I think he's got some name cachet. I feel like some of the players you were naming there, you can probably trade him on like one of those 8-10 catch weeks for someone I would rather have in my roster construction. So it's kind of just the way I like to build my team more so than anything.
So I'm just curious.
Sam Darnold for sure. Go ahead and name me the players again, though. The running backs in particular.
The running backs? The only running back in his range is J.K. Dobbins.
Okay, but not J.K.
Definitely not J.K. The other players are like a Spencer Rattler, an Aiden O'Connell.
I wouldn't go for those quarterbacks.
Bateman, Jalen McMillan, Tyler Lockett, Jalen Hyatt.
I would take Lockett over him. Jalen Hyatt, those guys are all kind of in that tier where I just don't really like the receivers in that range. So I would take Lockett, though. I don't know if there's any other ones in there that you mentioned.
Mike Williams.
No.
Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis, I'd be okay with.
That's it, all there.
Yeah, but like there's 3 names. receiver is not really what I want to roster that far down. I just don't think – I think he's going to get a ton of targets. I just don't think he's going to have a ton of upside. If he was in an offense that was like really high scoring and with a good quarterback, I could probably be a little more on board. I just feel like the combination of when a good quarterback comes into this offense and what I'm probably able to sell for, I'd prefer to sell. Yell at me. Tell me I'm stupid. This is it. This is my last chance.
Your last chance to be cool and be respected.
All right. We're going to go really not cool then. Quarterback 27, an older player relative to the position and just players in general, Matthew Stafford. What do you think of old Matty?
You don't got to tell me shit.
How old is he?
You don't got to tell me shit.
Right. You got to tell me shit. Buying. Okay.
You don't got to tell me shit.
All right. So I don't got to tell Andrew shit. Nick, do you want to hear shit?
Give me some players around him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair.
But I might be able to swap straight up.
Straight up? That's crazy. Andrew's already bought. Let me a second.
I bought him. He's not even available anymore, Nick. You might as well hold.
Quarterback 27. Ahead of him, adjacent players, Calvin Ridley, Brian Robinson, Zach Charbonnet. Just after him, Kendre Miller, Jamison Williams, Jalen Polk. Quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, the QBs, he's an easy dub for me there. The players are where we start getting like, I'd like to have those pieces.
I think he's even a dub there.
I'd like to have those pieces on my bench. Yeah, I think I would also say I would probably give up all those guys straight up for 8 more games of Matthew Stafford.
He's buying because you guys couldn't see it because he was holding the whiteboard like this.
You don't need it.
Can you guys see?
Buy.
I'm buying. Yeah, I've regurgitated this stat a few times, but Stafford last year he played 15 games, but if you pace it out to 17 games, he's about 5 yards behind the league lead in passing yardage behind Tua.
Interesting.
That being said, though, it was a relatively down year for passing yardage. Like, no one was in the 47, 8, 9, 100-yard range, but still shows you the type of upside that he has. I think this was in a year where Cooper Kupp wasn't fully healthy, in a year where Kyron Williams had like 20 goal line carries, in a year where, I think things could have broke a little bit more right for Stafford. They developed a really good offensive line, which wasn't really supposed to be the case. I think their defense got a million times worse without Aaron Donald, so maybe they need to throw the ball more on the flip side of things. Like, maybe I'm making more of a case for redraft, but I do think, if you could squeeze a QB1 season out of what he has left in the tank, he feels like someone who's probably going to break down very soon, but if we can get one more good year out of him, he's worth it at that price for me.
Different approach of similar things?
No, I mean, you just name all of those players in that tier, the Daniel Jones, the Justin Fields, the Jalen Polks, the Zach Charbonnets. It doesn't matter who you say. I'm taking Matthew Stafford over all of them. So there really isn't a single player I think that you listed that I would take over Stafford at this point. So he's an easy buy for me here.
All right, there we have it then.
Just one. I was just curious for you guys. What do you think? Like, everyone gets really worried about age at quarterback. What do you think the longest range of outcomes? Like, how long do you think he can actually start if things were okay? He was able to stay upright. Back wasn't an issue.
3 more.
3 more. I would have just said
2 to 3.
I would have said this year, and then maybe the following year is like where it starts getting maybe shaky.
Yeah. I think 2. I feel confident in 3s. Could happen. I feel like maybe, his wife coming out and saying that stuff. He wants to separate from the backups a little more, though. Give him 3.
Crazy.
What did you say?
You didn't see that, did you?
No.
I feel like I had to get something for Andrew out there.
His wife came out on a podcast or something and said that she slept with his backup in college to make him jealous.
Jesus Christ.
They were dating. He wasn't serious. Her story is they weren't serious, or he wasn't serious, so she started dating the backup to make him jealous. Got him jealous. Then now they
sounds like a really healthy foundation for a relationship.
Yeah.
Somebody, I can't remember who it was, somebody in the NFL media circle, they were like, I really like Kelly Stafford, but that's just some shit you don't put out in public.
Stephen A. was saying
that's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe give him a little added moto.
As weird as his fucking ADP. Yeah, I'm in on Stafford this year. I told you I'd take him over. I think he's like my quarterback 14 or 15 in redraft. So I have him up high. Definitely take him as a buy in Dynasty. Hang on to the last player, my last player. And again, if you have enjoyed the video thus far, make sure you hit the button. Looks like this. Subscribe to the channel. We have gone very heavy into redraft content at this point of the year. So go subscribe to the redraft channel if you are not already. We will link that down below.
We're going to start doing live streams next week or the following too.
Yeah, every Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Every Tuesday he'll be doing some Q&A stuff, or every other week maybe, depending on the group podcast. But Q&As for the Dynasty channel will be happening more frequently. Mr. Devonta Smith is my second player on this list. He is currently the 45th player off the board as wide receiver 17. Starting to get a little bit of that like T. Higgins treatment where we're a little bit fatigued from not seeing the ceiling year out of him. So based on those numbers, again, 45th overall, wide receiver 17, The 3 players directly ahead of him are Tua, Nico, and Kyle Pitts. 3 players below him are Devon Achane, Mark Andrews, Jared Goff.
Honestly, that's a nice. This is
a lot of good players.
This is
in
a
that
good
area.
discussion, though. I feel like you hit a good one here for me.
Honestly.
Oh wow!
So
This is
I'm sorry.
So anticlimactic. We're holding.
I'm holding, and here's the reason why. All 3 of those players that you named above him, I'm putting above him. All the 3 players that you named below him, I'm taking Devonta over all of them. So he feels like he is perfectly sandwiched in between that group of players where I have no gripes with the ADP. I think I'd almost be more interested in, and maybe you have it, is like specifically 3 wide receivers above him and 3 wide receivers below him, and not all of the positions.
Yeah, this is where it's tough. I know Rome's ahead of him.
Rome's ahead of him right now?
In Dynasty, I would almost guarantee.
Oh, yeah. So Devontae Smith, wide receiver 17. The 3 wide receivers above him, Nico Collins, 16, Rome, and Brandon Ayuk. 3 below him, Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I think there's an argument for...
Keep in mind, Devontae did get – him and A.J. Brown both got their extension, so they're there for at least another 3 years with Jalen Hurts. Devontae, I brought up like the T. Higgins treatment, and that's pretty much because his stats year over year have been similar in the fact that like he has his range of outcomes has been very narrow, where it's 900 as a rookie, 1,200 as a sophomore, back to around 1,100 last year, 5 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. So we have yet to see a really big spike year in either yardage or touchdowns.
I think at 17, he's a really good. This is such a hold for me because he's so appropriately valued as like a very solid wide receiver 2 for my Dynasty roster that has the ability to spike and give me those wide receiver 1 weeks from time to time in a good offense with a wide receiver, even though he's not old, and I've kind of talked about how much I like A.J. Brown as a value this offseason. You know, it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows for A.J. Brown here in Philadelphia either. Like, there was talks of him potentially not even being here going into the year. Now, he got the extension, obviously, but I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I feel like the T. Higgins thing that you're talking about that reigns true to me is similar to that, where it's like, I feel like in this offense, even as potent as it is, and as he'll give you spike weeks, it's starting to feel like his value is getting cemented, where we don't think that he has a wide receiver 1 finish in him.
Yeah. And he's 25 still, so he's young.
Yeah, no hate to the player. I have him on a lot of my teams. I think right now, if I could, for the gap in Rome, if I was able to slightly tier up to Rome, I would do it for the market value of if and when Rome eventually has some pop weeks. People kind of crave that, seeing a guy like him potentially have wide receiver 1 upside. We haven't seen that from other players. So that's kind of, I think, what people are looking for in Dynasty.
If you're at home playing the game, you have to take a shot because he said market value.
Market value. Imagine going all this time without saying it. Damn.
Yeah,
that's
good
crazy.
for
The
you,
market.
dude.
The market.
I fucking
the
bids
market.
in today.
Yeah.
That's because, this is our first Dynasty video.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
I was actually saying it during
He was
redraft,
saying it
and I
on a
was like,
redraft
that's
video,
crazy.
and everyone was
Oh,
saying
damn.
the market.
But
Dub. No one's ever heard of a market in redraft before. I would agree, though. Devontae is like the guys above him, I like above him. The guys below him, I like him more. I think he's just a more talented wide receiver than the guys below him. But, like, the upside of the guys above him feel like they're a little bit more enticing.
Do you feel the same as me where, like, the only guy below him that you mentioned that you could maybe have an argument is Pittman?
yeah,
he's the next guy below him.
same tier for me.
I would still take Devon. I don't think I could make the argument, or I would make the argument for Pittman.
They're close enough for me, I think, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the same tier, but I would
Much
take
closer
Smitty
to-
over Pittman.
Yeah, much closer than the DJ Moore and DK Metcalf kind of vibe.
Yeah, and it's tough too because Devonta, it's like their offense is really condensed, but at the same time, it's not condensed to the point where like Tua's offense is condensed, but he throws for 4,300 yards. The Eagles' offense is condensed, but Jalen Hurts throws for 3,600.
I was just going to ask, do you think that there's the difference between Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith is warranted? Wide receiver 12 versus wide receiver 17?
They're close. They're really close. They're in the same tier on this. Warranted, like I would definitely take Waddle over Smith, in my opinion. I actually just moved. Remember that trade I was talking about, Ayuk for Waddle?
Yeah.
Made it.
Oh, you did it?
I flipped it.
You couldn't hold.
I gave Ayuk for Waddle.
Couldn't hold back. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind that though. I prefer Ayuk, but they're same tier. I think though it's pretty similar ranges of outcomes for those two. Do we think that A.J. Brown after getting bagged or Tyreek Hill right now? I don't see either one of those guys moving on, and all of a sudden there being a situation where. Because if that was the case, I think Smith and Waddle both could end up being top 5 receivers. But I don't
If the other guys moved on,
right.
I actually think I would feel. I agree. Like I don't see a path where either of those guys move on for 2 to 3 years. I actually feel more confident that Smith would be a high-end wide receiver 1 than I would Waddle by himself.
Do you
Okay.
actually?
I think Smith is a better like actual receiver. Yeah, but I think the offense is way more just set up for success with 2 wide receivers. Statistically speaking, in Miami, just because Tua is going to throw for way more yards.
That actually, that was one last point I'll make is that the Philly offense as a whole, the way that their team was losing and the way they finished the season, it feels to be affecting all their values right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody's like down on all those players.
Yeah,
I don't think
probably
that
the wrong way to look at it.
I agree, 100%.
It is the wrong way, and I've been buying a lot of Jalen Hurts because of it.
But I also think the same is true about Waddle coming off of the bad year, where Waddle's put up 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. 2 years ago, him and Tyreek Hill went fucking bonkers together. And last year, I mean, he dealt with so many injuries and all that kind of shit. So I think Waddle and Smitty could both have really good bounce back years.
Waddle was like even lower this offseason too, though. That contract kind of helped recorrect his dynasty value. But before that,
he was like 15 or
way
16,
low.
and now he's up to like 12, 11-ish for the most part.
Yeah, I remember there was a time period where I've talked about this on my channel before. It's like one of my favorite trades that I made this offseason. But there was a time where
here we got to talk about Andrews League.
The JSN hype was kind of there in the offseason. And Waddle was really down. I moved JSN for Waddle.
Oof, that's crazy, brother.
Yeah. And I feel fantastic about it.
For sure, yeah. Looking back on it now.
Yeah, because they've kind of both went opposite directions now.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
I mean, the range of outcomes for JSN to get back to the Waddle tier is a girthy path.
It's hard, yeah.
It's going to be
very
tough.
girthy.
You want to talk about a tough path, a girthy path? We've got our 5th video of the day. When you guys see these group videos, we film batches. So we'll do like 5 straight hours. And again, if you're not subscribed to the Redraft channel, we're about to go live on the Redraft channel doing a full underdog best ball draft over there. So go subscribe, go turn notifications on, and then every other Thursday, we will be live on that channel drafting. So we will wrap up this video here. Subscribe. Go cop the BDGE draft guide on bdge.co. Discounted price until August 1st. And we'll see you when we see you.
Let us know what you want to yap about.
Come on.